Can you guys believe that Lucky Channel's surging forward with its 10th episode? I'm Akira Kogami, your navigator.
Hello, I'm her assistant Minoru Shiraishi.
How about we get down to business by introducing the fourth character? It's Kagami Hiragi!
In the show, she's the one who plays the rational character and keeps things on track.
So basically, she's a tsundere type, yeah. Right, I got it. Tsundere. Talk about a shallow character.
On the contrary.
Huh?
Let's not jump to conclusions by categorizing Kagami-san as a mere tsundere.
What is she then?
Before we get into that, we must ask ourselves, do we truly grasp the concept of tsundere? See, in this day and age, it's a sad fact that as the term tsundere becomes a part of the mainstream, its true meaning gets lost in the process. First, we must trace its origins. The term tsundere dates back to the year 2002, where it was first used on the internet. It meant a hostile person who becomes affectionate. In other words, it was supposed to describe how a character's personality changed over time.
Yeah, whatever.
These days, however, tsundere is used to describe a character's dual nature. For example, a girl who's cold on the outside but loving on the inside would fit the current definition of the term. I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I declare that this is all a huge mistake. We must give the people back the true definition of tsundere. Sound the warning bells. Rise up and be counted, you illiterate masses! Arise!
You were going pretty good there, Sebastian.
Who's that?
So if Kagami isn't a tsundere, what is she?
Who's Sebastian?
I don't get why you're making it harder than it needs to be, you know? But since you brought it up, Chief, you got another word we can use besides tsundere that gets the same point across?
What? Oh, I'm sure there's something out there that would work. Maybe kuldere? No, that's not it. Deretsun?
You really are an idiot. Did you know that? Isn't tsundere good enough?
No, it isn't. That's what I've been saying. Oh, how about we have our viewers think of a new term that could replace tsundere? Now that's what I call a good idea.
Coward.
Listen up, this goes out to everyone watching right now. I want you to come up with a new term that would describe a character like Kagami. And together we'll rewrite the common facts of modern day speech. We'll call it the Great Tsundere Debate. For more info, please check out our radio show or log on to our site. We're counting on your ideas.
Huh? So, are we done now? About friggin' time. Lots and lots and lots and lots. Bye, Nee.
Bye, fast forward!
Alrighty, welcome back to another episode of Lucky Channel. It's episode 10. 10 weeks in a row of doing this. I'm really tired. But I'm your host, Genzo, Bay, Def Grips, whatever you want to call me. And today we've got an exciting lineup. Joining us as always is our co-host, Envy. Envy brings his incredible energy and passion to every episode, always ready to share his unique perspective and keeps conversation flowing. He's been a cornerstone of this podcast, and we're glad to have him back on the mic. Welcome, Envy. Woo! Yay!
Boo!
Woo, Envy. And also with us is Marlon, our other dedicated co-host. Marlo's sharp takes and engaging storytelling and deep insights have made him an essential part of the show. His ability to get to the heart of any topic and keep us all laughing along the way makes every episode a blast. Even when he's fresh off his military training, he's here and ready to add his signature style to the conversation. Welcome, Marlon. Woo!
My bad for my absence last pod, guys. I apologize. I was training, still training as of right now, but I had to make some time to be a part of something that is great, such as a local channel. I'm happy to be back, guys. If anything sounds weird, it's because I am not home. I am not home right now, but still, we ball.
Yes, he made it. He made it a point to join it. He didn't care. He was going to make it in here. So good to see him back. But today's main guest is someone I had the pleasure of meeting during my time in the band server, Pariahdox. He's the founder of OEG, well, co-founder of OEG, a thriving community space known for its inclusivity and positive atmosphere. Welcome, Pariah.
Welcome, Pariah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
No.
I'm happy to be here.
Yes, sir. He's also his organization has contributed over 25,000 to various charities, including Extra Life Children's Miracle Network and the Trevor Project and St. Jude Children's Hospital. Awesome stuff there.
Awesome charity over here.
Hell yeah. I got more intro for you, Pariah. Hold on. Whether it's navigating the challenges of leading a large community, balancing his professional life, diving deep into commentary, or getting competitive in Guilty Gear Strive, Pariahdox has been a driving force in making sure that everyone feels welcome and heard. Plus, he's got a passion for card games like the One Piece card game that we can't wait to hear more about. We're excited to dive into all of that and more in today's episode. So let's dive right in. Pariah,
Oh yeah. Howdy.
how did you come up with the name Pariahdox?
So my Pariahdox was, I originally used to go by Jin or Jinu. I had stolen the username from a friend of mine in elementary school when he gave me his RuneScape account. I just took the name for the rest of my life.
Oh, wow.
But there was a time period where I was like looking for a change of username, and I was playing Dark Souls 1 at the time. And there was something about the undead parish. Parish is only one letter away from pariah, and so I just had the word in my head a lot. And I was trying to think of a way to get people to be able to. I really love the nickname Doc, and so I was trying to think of a way of getting people to use that nickname for me. And so I was like, Pariahdox. That doesn't quite have the right. Oh, Pariahdox. There we go. We're in it.
Damn, that's the way to get it, man. You should have been Dr. Love.
True.
Can you? I had Wolfgang ask me this question to ask you this question. What do you do for work?
So I work in events and marketing. I primarily do kind of like trade show stuff. Primarily with like shipping and logistics coordination stuff. But I work for a tech company. We do like 800 trade shows a year.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, it's a lot for sure. But I work in marketing primarily, and it's a good time. It wasn't something that I expected to like become so relevant in my life. When I started working there, it was just a job, right? And then now it's gotten to the point where it's like organizing events and doing stuff like this with the FGC has become my full-time hobby, and also it is what I do for work. So it's a wild like crossover that's just kind of happened naturally.
That makes sense. Cheese is saying Pariahdox kind of sounds like a dinosaur name. Yeah, I can see it a little bit. But that. So how did the were you there? Were you the founder of OEG? Because I wanted to clear that up.
So me and my 4 roommates are all the founders of OEG. We put the project together all at the same time. Originally, they had come in from some other projects that weren't really working out for them. And we started off as a place where we needed to be able to organize for the Extra Life charity that we do every year. And we needed to be able to just kind of have a space that fit all of our interests and that we could all hang out. We had done like TeamSpeak servers, and they were on Skype for a long time before I came around. And then we kind of put the OEG thing together, and it was kind of just us for a number of years. We've been together for, I think, almost 8 years now. And then a couple of years ago, we started really expanding the team and starting to bring on some of our like roster players and stuff like that. And so at the start, it was just the 4 of us, and we've gotten a lot bigger since then. But I'm one of the OG 4.
Oh yeah, I think me and Envy were talking before the stream started, and Envy was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure I won one of the first brackets that they ever hosted."
Oh yeah, and Envy, my absolute goat, was one of our early champions for fight sticks and flash kicks, and also just one of the people who was like playing in the bracket and was like, we should get some more people in here. And then all of a sudden a bunch of people started showing up, and I was like, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, I definitely reached out a couple times like, hey, you guys should enter the bracket, because that's how I entered. Was I think it was Burger Boy.
Burger Boy, yep.
Yeah, he was like, you should join. I was like, all right. And then eventually I was like, let me see if I can get some other people in here. But as far as you guys popping off, that was definitely all y'all. I had little influence on that one. You guys were out here. And I guess that leads to a question that I actually had, was like, seeing from like where you were at the start to where you guys are now. I'd say you guys are like a staple bracket in the Strive community, and like people know about your bracket. Like yours is on Thursday, they're like, all right, let's enter that. Are you happy with the progress that you guys have made as an organization? And do you have any like future goals or plans moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly with the success of FNF has been insane to me. I really expected us to just be like band junior and like get a couple of homies here and there showing up and but it's really exploded and that's really cool to see, especially with kind of the way that things started out with FNF because back in those earlier days of FNF, there was a couple of months where I think there were 7 brackets for Strive on Thursday online, and it was like,
Jeez.
how is this the only day that I'm free?
Yeah.
I need to figure something else out. But then we just kind of stuck around, and all those other brackets kind of faded, and now there's only a couple of us on Thursdays, and I mean it's super cool, and there's always more to like grow and that we want to like pivot into. Right now we're kind of focusing on kind of getting some of our newer members and some of our younger members into the TOing space and getting we have the 3v3 tournament that's launching a beginner bracket of our own and getting some of those kind of projects off the ground that don't involve me giving up my whole Thursday. And some of those have been really fun, and that's kind of what we're looking for. And we're always like, at the end of the day, OEG kind of started off as a charity organization, and so being in the FGC has really allowed us to tap into a lot more charity fundraising, which has been really awesome. And that's really where it's going to continue to be, right? It's just like, hey, we just want to keep doing this charity thing and do it bigger and better every year. And so far, we've done a decent job of it, I think.
Hell yeah. You guys have been doing good.
Were there any specific milestones or events that you're particularly proud of?
I thought that so last year was our first year doing Pride FGC, and it was a really ambitious project that me and Tibbers kind of dove into. For those who aren't aware, we got together. I think we got 9 different organizations, all running different games. We tried to kind of simulate the major experience in an online setting. So we had like an artist alley set up in the Discord. We had 9 different tournaments. We had Skullgirls and Them's Fighting Herds and Tekken and Street Fighter and Strive and Uni and all the good stuff that all these other different orgs were running. We had streams running for the entire weekend. And it was something that the idea kind of came to us, and we were like, all right, we can make this happen. We're going to need some help for sure. But we absolutely busted our butts for like 3 months straight and made it happen. And it was the most like, I think that the event itself ended up raising like $3,000 off the top of my head. And it's the reason that my hair is blue right now because we got enough Strive entrants. It was just a super fun event, and it was just like, man, we could really like put our minds to this and actually do this, and it was cool, especially because it's so hard to get people on for net play brackets to sign up for a bracket that you have to pay to enter, even if it's only $5. That was a huge hurdle, and it was like, I don't know if people are gonna jump onto this, but we got a decent amount of traction on it, and it was a blast.
Yeah, that sounds crazy, dude. Having all those orgs and hosts, I don't even know how you guys did that. That must have taken a lot of time, a lot of prep work to even start.
It was a blast. We had a bunch of cool panels too. We had a panel about like the gayest characters in Guilty Gear and like hair care and stuff like that. It was really cool to see.
Yeah, I remember because 9 Moons hosted the Street Fighter bracket for you guys.
Yeah.
It's crazy that you guys were able to basically like gather everyone to like host it, and I imagine, like Jinzo said, that took a lot of work to like get everything prepped, and that's just like the tournament side, let alone all of the like people you had doing like panels, like streams during the time, and all the like art stuff. Like you guys did a good job for sure. And then you said you raised I think 3,000. That sounds right because I think I
Yeah, it was
remember.
like 2,500 to 3,000 or something like
Yeah.
that. It was one of our bigger charity events, and it's definitely one that we're going to be doing again this year because it was just so much fun. It was so rewarding to put together, and yeah, like you said, like it Nine Moons was there, and y'all's portion went super smoothly. But I was just there being the like. I understand now why the people who like run these events are just pacing constantly because I was just sitting and I was sitting at my chair just like watching all the streams the entire weekend. I was just like, please no, is everything on fire? Everything's all right. Okay, what's happening over here?
And so for because this is going to be like an annual event that you guys host, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What have you like? What did you learn from this like initial year that you can apply to next year to maybe like help it run smoother, or if there were any issues or anything like that?
We learned, I think the biggest thing that we learned about was how weird paying to enter an online tournament is. It
Yeah.
was 100% the biggest hurdle that we had, apart from just like talking to people and getting buy-in from people, right? Because that's always going to be a hurdle, kind of no matter what. It's like, hey, do you want to give up your weekend for free? But the dealing with the actual like buy-in process through Start.gg. So the way that gambling laws work, like sports gambling laws, is if there is a buy-in, they assume that you're trying to basically launder sports gambling money by like saying, if I enter a tournament and I pay $5 and I could win $10, then I'm sports gambling. And that's completely illegal in like 10 states. And also outside of the United States is just like a complete no-go, right? And so we
Yeah.
were just like trying to deal with that situation of like, okay, how do we get like, because we're not gonna host a tournament and not allow like Danny to enter, right?
Yeah.
We're not gonna our homies up in Canada aren't gonna be just completely SOL because they can't pay the $5 to enter in here or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And so that was something that we're still working on kind of a new route for, figuring out some like better charity integrations essentially to make that happen.
Okay.
Because the other aspect being that the Start.gg doesn't actually like directly filter into the charities that we wanted it to. So that would be one of those things that if it did, then that probably wouldn't be in that like sports gambling pile. But unfortunately, because the money all had to come into like our wallets basically before it goes out to the charity, it was one of those things that was like, we wanna work this out a little bit better the next time.
Yeah, I remember like seeing it a lot in the Discord where you guys weren't necessarily like saying this is how you get around it, but you were kind of like, if maybe you're spending some time in this location, you could change it to where you could participate in this tournament. I remember a lot
Yeah,
of like sideways
we had a
kind of.
lot of Mexican players that were visiting San Antonio that
Right.
weekend. It was really convenient for us, you know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that was like this was a unique challenge that we had literally just never heard of before and came completely out of left field for us.
Yeah.
And I think that obviously the event was successful regardless, but I think finding a way to make that easier, because it's already just like even just asking people to pay the $5 to enter is such a hurdle in a lot of ways. Getting that extra hurdle of like, hey, it says that my state's unavailable or whatever is really really rough. And
Yeah, I could see that. I do think you guys handled it well, but I get that would be something to work out for the next time for sure.
So what has been the biggest challenges in managing OEG, whether it's like dealing with difficult situations or like maintaining a positive atmosphere or maybe finding the right purpose for the community? What do you think is the biggest challenge of maintaining that?
I think we've gotten pretty lucky. and I know that Tibbers loves to talk about this one of like we allow people into our community who may be a little bit on the like who may have some like red flags, for instance, right?
Mhm.
Obviously nothing too bad, but we've had some people in our community who have been like, hey, this person is someone who we have to keep an eye on. They might there's a non-zero chance that they just randomly pop off on something or make a conversation uncomfortable or something like that, right? But the best thing that's happened is that like those people generally will, even if they come into our community on like false pretenses, right? Because obviously with the little bit of the like Norse theming that we have, we're going to attract at least some amount of people who don't really vibe with the space, right?
Mhm.
Those people though, they come in and they realize very quickly that it's like, oh hey, I'm like I'll use an example of like, hey, I'm a bully, right? And I'm just that kind of person. I love bullying my friends. I bully everybody. I talk shit all the time. They come in and they realize that like this isn't the space for that, and they remove themselves from the space. So I think that that's been really good. And so it's been one of those situations where obviously we've had to had like difficult conversations with our teammates and stuff like that, um but for the most part I love all of my teammates and they're all awesome, and they all kind of vibe with the identity of what OEG is, and like going for the charity and the trying to keep that positive attitude in the FGC. Really though, the biggest struggle that I've had in the last 2 years with OEG is just kind of my own work-life balance. Um, I was joking with y'all earlier about how like I just recently started playing Strive again, and it's like, man, I've got probably 2,000 hours in Strive, but 1,500 of that is hosting tournaments,
Yeah.
and I'm like, man, I'm this little like 10.5 floor 10.5 Testament player, and I would like to play the game. It turns out I do really love fighting games, and I love this Guilty Gear Strive thing. Um, and so managing some of that where it's like, all right, cool, I want to sit down and play some Guilty Gear Strive. Oh, but 3v3 is dropping on Wednesday and we want to host a tournament for it. Okay, let me take care of that really quick and then I can go, oh, no, wait, hold on. We got another new thing this week. Okay, wait, hold on. We'll take care. Okay, now I can sit down and play some tower.
Yeah, I can't. Like after work, I'm just like drained. Or I don't know how you do it almost every day. I feel like you're doing something on the schedule, and how you find
the
free time
schedule
in it.
helps keep me sane, which is the good thing. That's something that I know about myself, and my roommates kind of function similarly, which is a blessing for sure. Of like being on a schedule and being like, hey, even if I'm literally just, I've had this block on my schedule that's like, this is Pariah's like FGC grind set time, right? I very rarely actually use that lately, but it's there and it has never left my schedule because my roommates know this is the like, hey, let Pariah do his thing and like cool down after work time.
Mhm. Okay, I'm glad you have that in place because you would have been burnt out by now. But I want to get to how you met Westfield and Tibbers. How did you guys meet?
So I moved to Texas 8 or 9 years ago now, from Kansas. I'm a Kansas boy.
Mhm.
And I moved down here with my mom and stepdad at the time because they had moved down. I was not in the best life space, so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get out of this hick ass town, right?
Mhm.
And finally did the move down towards the DFW area. And then when I was here, I was just job hunting, trying to find anything. I ended up getting this job at a combination Dunkin' Donuts Baskin Robbins as a cake decorator.
Oh, yeah.
And Tibbers trained me to decorate cakes there, and then she moved on to a different job, but we still stayed in touch. They've had, I think Tibbers has had like 75 roommates throughout her life.
Oh my god.
And she's in the positive sense, right? It's like she's always had some group of people living with her. And so it's her and her husband, and then our other roommate Westfield, and they'd already gone way back, and he's been living here for a little while. But it was just kind of like, hey, I met them while I was decorating cakes, and then we still kind of stayed in touch, played game nights, played some D&D and stuff like that. And after It was about 2 years later. It was like, all right, Pariah, I think that you've kind of gotten into a life space where you're stable enough to actually like come and be our roommate. Um, yeah, and Westy met Tivers through League of Legends.
That's crazy. I was gonna send a shock email.
Yeah, they actually met through Tiber's husband wrote an Akali guide on I want to say it was on MOBA Fire or was it the thing that was before MOBA Fire, I think, ages ago. And Westfield was learning Akali and they met through that, which is 10 out of 10.
That is crazy. So Westfield just was like, hey. I wonder how I gotta interview Westfield to ask him how that all happened, because that's an interesting story I want to hear about.
It's a good one.
Can you tell us about your experience living with them? Like, do you guys, like, somebody's in the bathroom, you're like, oh, come on, I gotta really pee.
I mean, for the most part, everything's really chill. We are lucky enough that Tibbers and her husband have a big house. We moved a couple years ago, but you know, they have their own kind of space in their office downstairs, and then they have their guest room area as well. Me and Westfield just have our own rooms upstairs. And for the most part, you know, every now and then we'll go through phases of doing like community lunches and stuff like that, or community dinners, where, you know, it's a lot easier to only have to cook one night a week, right? Versus having to cook every night of the week for just yourself. Cooking one night of a week for a whole house is a lot better for me personally. So we would kind of do rotations where it's like, all right, every Tuesday I go out to the store, get food, and cook for the whole house, and then we kind of split up the bills. Outside of that, we have our own kind of roommate agreement, which is a kind of byproduct of how many roommates Tibbers has had and all the good experiences and bad experiences put together. Like, hey, this is kind of our like roommate contract. If you fuck around, you're gonna find out.
Valid.
And you know, it's something where I think we all have a lot of like mutual respect, and we try to take care of our space and each other, and we keep each other kind of in line when we're having a rough time, and when we're having good times we celebrate together. It's a real fun situation, honestly.
So what's
This is not the sky out.
yeah, I don't know what you said at the end there, but yeah, you kind of cut
I
out
couldn't
at the
quite make it
end,
out
bro.
either.
But yeah,
I cut myself out. I said, at least it's not the Sky House, not the contract. 'Cause, I
Oh.
wasn't hearing about that type of stuff.
oh, the Sky House. Okay, yeah, I remember about
That's
that.
a throwback.
Yeah, that's a
Throwback,
throwback. Yeah, what a household that was. So your organization has contributed a lot to various charities. What drives your dedication, your whole team's dedication to causes like Extra Life or the Trevor Project or others and other types of charities?
I mean, we started out with Extra Life primarily. It's kind of the big one that we've done every year, and it was just something that was super fun to be involved in, and we could raise a little bit of money for charity at the same time. I think that the idea of like having that purpose and giving back is really important to all of us. And it varies from person to person, but for me, a lot of it is just like it's easy to kind of feel hopeless in the world, both hopeless and purposeless, right? It's just like, you know, there's all this stuff happening and I can't possibly fix any of it. I can like go out and vote, but like it's a drop in the bucket, or I can like maybe go on you know, like a mission trip or something and build a house, and that's awesome, but also like I don't got the time or money to really be doing that, unfortunately. And so kind of taking the stuff that we are already doing and already wanting to do and pivoting that in a way that can also put that good into the world is something that I think is really important, and it's something that like enriches that stuff and motivates it for me. Of like, you know, I probably wouldn't be streaming at all if it wasn't for streaming Extra Life, right? And so my hobbies kind of developed alongside the charity work, which has been a cool experience. But For me, it's just so important to have that like agency and have that feeling of like I am giving back and putting some difference into the world, and the kind of community positivity that comes with it is really, really cool.
Yeah. So what was the first charity event you hosted? Was it Extra Life?
Yeah, the first ever one was Extra Life. I know that we had the graphic that just Tibbers just recently posted that we've been keeping track of. Extra Life 2018 was the first one for us. Our group raised $2,158.93. Gotta love that 93 cents on there.
Oh yeah.
we'll get the pennies sorted out and evened out eventually. But it was our very first one, and it's Extra Life Game Day it's always on the first weekend of November, and it's a 24-hour stream. And they also have other Extra Life events. They have like tabletop events and stuff like that throughout the year. But it's always a blast, and it's something that we all do come together to do, and staying up for 24 25 hours because it's always daylight savings time is like challenging, but not going to completely ruin you. Although I am 32 years old now, and it's getting worse and harder to recover every year. It's just so fun, and the Extra Life itself has been kind of the organization that we've contributed to the most consistently throughout the years. We've done that 24-hour stream every single year, and our team has only ever gotten bigger throughout that process, and so it's cool to see other people coming on and kind of learning their firsts and their making their own mistakes of the charity events and stuff. We have one of our streamers, Daniel Saz, had his first year doing Extra Life, set a bunch of like incentives for himself, and all of the incentives were more 24-hour streams.
Oh my
And
god.
so
no.
and he set all the values really low, and I think he raised the most money out of any of us that year. And by the end of it, he literally spent the next like 6 months doing 24-hour streams. And it was just like, I'm dying out here, I gotta do FNAF for 24 hours. It was great. But it's always great to see, you know, those kind of learning experiences from the first couple events. Events.
That's actually interesting, because I was gonna ask you if you had any advice for like people that want to start like hosting their own like charity events and stuff like that. If you'd have any like, don't do this or make sure you do this kind of things. But I guess that would probably fit into that, as don't set your goals too low if you're gonna be doing 24-hour streams, or you might be stuck at the chair.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the incentives are always a huge boon, and that's something that like your community will always want to go for those, you know. And it's like even if it's not necessarily there's someone who's just like kind of passing through your community or whatever, they're just like, oh hey, random streamer, they're like $50 away from putting a cat maid outfit on, heck yeah, I'll donate $50. Right?
Yeah.
Incentives always go a long way, and like having a defined kind of schedule for your event, especially when you're doing a 24-hour event, the way that we survive those 24-hour streams is like we do a bunch of small blocks and just basically do like the greatest hits of the year of like all the games we've been playing. So I'll be like, I'll play League of Legends for an hour right when I wake up to get in a really good mood, and then do like some Dragon Ball Sparking
good
Zero.
mood.
Mood.
That's
Oh my
crazy. Play
goodness.
League of Legends for a good mood.
Well, you know, it doesn't always. Sometimes it backs up a little bit.
That is the craziest statement we've heard on the podcast so far.
But
But I have a question in regards to like funds or like a budget for events.
yeah.
Like what's like a good budget for like starting out an event? Like how much money should I like have realistically?
I mean, it really depends on what you're going for. So, like for us, for instance, right, we're completely grassroots. We are completely like self-funded. As far as like budgetary stuff, we usually don't go into an event with like okay, we have $1,000 that we're going to spend for this event, right? What the currency that we more often use is kind of our time, and it's a because we're charity based and we're always volunteer work and we're always grassroots, we outside of the money that I might spend money to dye my hair for a like donation incentive or something like that, right? But outside of stuff like that, we're completely grassroots funded. And like we go into something like Extra Life and it's like, all right, we could just go and like commission these Extra Life mods, or get this art commissioned or whatever it is, or we can spend the time to learn how to do it ourselves and save ourselves some money in that process. But it is like the time versus money trade-off can be a pretty big deal. I will say, in terms of like money and charity events go, though, one of the biggest tips that I have is always keep your books for literally everything. There's too many situations where people are like, hey, where did this Matcherino money go, right? Or, hey, why does this thing say that it paid out to you? Or can I actually trust that you transferred this sub and donation money to the charity? So whenever that kind of stuff happens, it's like, all right, we're for sure going to have all of the money that we would be potentially spending extra, like matching donations and stuff, ready beforehand. And then after the event, we always make a document that's like, hey, this is exactly where every single dollar went. This is everything that we sent off to the charity, and so on and so forth, so that there's never a shadow of a doubt in that situation. So unfortunately, I don't have like super specific numbers, but I will say that if you're ever interested in running events, something that I call out a lot in the FGC in particular is you should have all of the, even though I know it's not realistic all the time, you should have all of the money for your event before the event starts. You never want to end up in a situation where you're not paying your commentators or your bracket runners or something like that, if you are paying your commentators and bracket runners, because that'll leave a sour taste in their mouth and put you on edge if you're essentially going into debt waiting for something else to come through to pay these people. It's a whole mess. So make sure that you are ready to take care of that right off the bat.
Good, that's one good game.
Yeah, that is a good game. I know you mentioned this earlier about having that block in your schedule where you're like, okay, this is my time. Is there anything else that you do for your mental health to make sure you don't go crazy?
The things I do for my mental health to make sure that I don't go crazy. That's a great question. I mean, I definitely have I have a bad napping habit for sure. I do think that it helps me keep me a little bit sane, but I usually get home from work and take a good long nap right before I kind of get up and do a stream or anything. But for the most part, like when I'm looking to wind down or kind of find some time for myself, it'll either be playing like a strategy game that I can just kind of like chill out and play. I've been watching all of the VODs of Alpharad playing Among Us. I never got into Among Us when it was big, but I've been spamming those VODs, just playing like the One Piece card game. And a little stuff like that. Or, I'll be getting together with my roommates and my other friends and just like, hey, we're gonna, go join a sand volleyball league this summer. Me and Tibbers, we haven't been out dancing in a while, but we do go out country dancing. We used to go every single weekend, and it was just like every Friday we were out country dancing, and that was kind of our cool off time.
I see. So you're a social person. You get energy from being out and talking with people or doing something. I would be in bed dead the whole day to get back all my energy, bro. I I don't understand it. That's crazy. It's like, oh, I'm gonna take a break from my mental health here by going out and do some country dancing. Let's go.
It's good and good for you. I don't know. It's one of those things. I can definitely fall on both sides of that spectrum sometimes, but you know, there are definitely weekends where I'm just like, this weekend I'm not doing anything. Please leave me alone. I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm gonna boot up Teamfight Tactics and My Hero Academia, and this is all I'm doing this weekend.
Yeah, that's me all year round, really. I want to talk about how you got into commentary and what do you find both stressful and rewarding about that?
I got in. I'm trying to think. Like, I honestly don't remember what the spark was that I was like, yes, I want to be in commentary doing this thing. I knew I wanted to host our tournament and I knew that I wanted to do commentary. I did want for a long time to be involved in like radio broadcasts as kind of one of my dream jobs, but unfortunately never really came to fruition. I mean, you know, everyone has those like radio broadcasts or voice acting or whatever. And then kind of once I wet my whistle on commentary a couple of times, it was just so much fun. And the people that you get to meet from it is a ton of fun. You know, I've had late night conversations with like Jatsu and C Fresh and at like CEO Taku, just chilling out by the pool. And it's a cool skill to be working on developing, and definitely got my attention. It got its hooks in me basically immediately. It was just like, I want to be doing this commentary thing. I don't care if I'm getting paid. I don't know what I need out of it, but I am loving this and want to keep doing it for sure.
Was there a particular match that you like watching? You're like, yeah, I got to do that, or was it just like awful whim? You're just like, oh yeah, that seems like a cool thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like I started hosting Fight Sticks and Flash Kicks, and I was like, yeah, I think I could bring some of my, you know, I am unfortunately an adult and I have responsibilities and I can stick to those pretty decently. And I think that tends itself well to like hosting events and stuff. So I was like looking at the stuff that Bracket About Nothing was doing, and I was like, yeah, I think that I could really do this and I could like host this event and it would be good. And I need a commentator, so I might as well like do the commentary for it. You know, my only real experience with fighting game commentary was basically just the Bracket About Nothing commentators at the time, doing like rewatching my band VODs. And so it was something that I was basically learning completely from scratch. I'd had some experience from like, you know, obviously like League of Legends and other competitive games I was playing before I came into the fighting game space. But as far as like fighting game commentary, it was basically just from scratch. Like, I needed commentators, and I was like, I can do that, and then I just fell in love with it.
Now, how do you know you're doing good while you're commentating? Like, do you look at the Twitch chat and you're like, oh yeah, my commentator's putting in work right now? How do you tell if you're like, oh, I'm killing it right now?
I'm a Twitch chat watcher for sure. Sometimes to a fault. It definitely can be a distraction sometimes, but I think the Twitch chat, like, being in tune with Twitch chat and them kind of being the third commentator in the booth is always a lot of fun. But I think that like really it's one of those things where it's like, you know, you're doing a good job on commentary when you catch yourself fully relaxing. And it's like when you're popping jokes and you're just like talking about the games and having a good time, and then like every now and then you lock in for a really serious moment. There's a couple of commentators, I think that Rin is one of them for me, who I can always just like fully relax around and really let like some of my sillier jokes fly, and like just be kind of existing in the vibes being immaculate. Those are the moments where afterwards I'm just like, man, that was a great commentary session. I'm not even tired. Like, this was just an awesome time.
Are there any? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, what's up?
So when it comes to commentary, I like even FGC announcers like the type of skill that they have to analyze and just say all these technical terms to the like audience stuff like that. Is there like moments where it's like hard for you to not like talk outside of your like like because there's like a commentary voice that I can say that I've seen FCC announcements do and stuff like that. Is there like moments where you're just like not trying to get outside that voice and just talk regularly? Like, is there like I don't know if that makes sense to you. Or
Yeah, I mean, I think that like there are definitely some times where that's one of the things that is a lot of fun about commentary is almost everyone can just kind of hop into a commentary booth and like do the commentary voice, right? You can come in and like communication accommodate or do like an impression, right? And be like sitting there doing commentary. But there are a lot of times where it's like, hey, oh, I don't know this interaction, or it showed a lot in my early commentary. I know that I had gotten some feedback from the goat Kelmo at some point that was like, Pariah, you're really good at this commentary thing, but it really shows that you don't know much about the video game. I
Oh
was
my
like,
god.
"Oh, yeah, that you are so right. And it's like, you know, you learn new stuff all the time. Envy taught me BRC overheads in the middle of a Fight Sticks and Flash Kicks tournament, right? Like, and I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing. I'm learning this right now. I'm literally gonna spend the rest of the week labbing this. But like, then there's some of those times where it's like letting yourself. It's a balance that you have to do between doing the like professional commentary, trying to capture that big moment, and letting yourself kind of relax and let off the gas a little bit. There are some groups and some commentators who are a little bit like no gas, and some commentators who are all gas. And finding that middle ground is a lot of fun and can be challenging, but that's why I kind of said how the like certain people will help me reach that no gas state where I'm not really performing. I'm just like watching the games and talking with a buddy or something like that. And it's cool to see the different kind of commentators that and how they work with that. I think Yipes is a good example of a very laid back commentator who enables other people to be whatever they want to be. And I try to be more like that, but I tend to be a lot more of the like fast-paced commentator voice guy because that's normally easier to do.
Oh yeah, I love Yipes. I don't care what game it is. If Yipes is on commentary, I'm gonna be listening to it. I won't even watch it. I just want to hear what he's saying. He's so funny.
For sure.
So you're back on Strive now. Have you played against the new Ram Lethal yet?
I have played a couple of games against Ramlethal. They have not been pretty. I'm just going to chalk that up to the fact that I was playing my secondary, though. I haven't played against a Ram with my Testament yet, and there's not that many of them actually floating around right now, which is funny because I think they just can't get games.
Yeah, well, I'm here for you, Pariah. If you ever want to get some Ram hands, I'm here for it.
I mean, listen, speaking of like the people who go way back, when I was starting Strive, I started off on floor 4 and climbed my way all the way up, right? Just learning the game as I went. I have never in my life before that or since then been beaten so badly in a fighting game since I ran into Death Grips randomly on floor 7. And I was just like, yeah, cool, we're bebopping around, we're playing video games. Like, I'm still haven't even learned my first combo yet, and just the most insane Ram player that I ever experienced. I'm sure it was just doing nothing. It's nothing special at that point. But like, it was just the most traumatizing thing. And then like months later, I meet Death Grips, and I'm just like, oh, you're that. Oh no, I remember you.
I I think I had a phase when I first started playing where I'm just like, I don't care about anything. I'm just gonna hit the tower and see what I get. And then after like 1,000 games, I'm like, all right, I'll join a beginner's bracket now and see what I can do. I was still beginner level, believe me. Pluto was yelling at me that whole time, coaching me. He's like, why are you jumping so much? Why would you jump? I'm like, I don't know, Pluto. Stop yelling at me. I'm scared. And I do miss the death grips first to 100s too. It's been a minute since I did some of those.
Yeah, GG's. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Me after going 0-50 to death grips.
Yeah. So what drew you to maining Testament, and how do you feel the character? How do you feel the character fits your playstyle?
I originally started off on Geo, and just because I had Googled who was the easiest character to learn, and then I learned that air combos were a thing, and I was like, nah, I'm not doing that. I need something different. Guilty Gear Strive is my first fighting game, but my roommate at some point went off to play Tower and came back and was like, yo, that character that looks like Caitlyn from League of Legends and uses like a paintbrush or something is really cool. And I tried it out, and it just kind of meshed pretty well. I think Testament meshes with a lot of beginners pretty naturally, just because of kind of the aspects of their kit, 6H being a big part of that, right? And my friend at the time was playing Nago, and it was a fun matchup to play. And then I kind of learned as I was growing as a fighting game player that Testament actually doesn't really mesh super well with my play style. I'm not a zoner player. And famously, you mentioned Pluto. My first ever like VOD review from Pluto, like 2 minutes into it, Pluto was like, I think you just need to pick a different character. I'm gonna be real with you. And from that moment in, I was locked in, right? Like, there's no bigger motivator than someone telling you to play a different character. I have the clip saved somewhere. Like, it reminds me of the best of times. But there are aspects of Testaments, like, there's a version of Testament that is my best version of Testament. And I think that Arxis sometimes agrees with me and sometimes disagrees with me. I really, really love running corner pressure. When I learned Testament's Kara corner pressure, it was like the biggest evolution of my game ever, and then they took Kara corner pressure out, essentially. But there are aspects of Testament that are the best for me, and there are other aspects like I can roll my eyes to the back of the head and clock into the full screen arbiter factory every now and then. But those aspects don't really appease to me too much. But I mean, aesthetically, the character is a ton of fun. I love Scythe characters. I think that their like lore and their story is a lot of fun, and the way that the character kind of flows. One of the things that I really love about watching the characters is how they look while they're doing their combos and stuff. And one of the things that Testament does a lot of is these big like flowy strikes that'll be like, you do the close slash that like goes up behind the back and like the scythe comes up, right? And then you fully spin around for the 6H that like just does this full double circle in this like crescent motion, and it just looks super visually appealing. And then you get to run some like cool, crazy pressure with like gimmicky teleports is a big thing. I think my ideal character in all games is like a gimmicky teleport, a 2-stage fireball, and like a command grab. Testament is really close to all of those things.
You'd mentioned that they took out the like car cancel pressure. Is there a specific like patch that you're like, this is the Testament that I like the most so far, or is it just kind of like
I think that any Testament player would kind of be crazy to say that right now isn't objectively the best version of Testament. I think that like the last patch that we got, not the throw procking stain, because that was just such a nothing burger, but the little balance patch that also buffed Johnny a bunch. last season.
Yeah.
That patch was my dream patch. It removed a couple frames off of teleport that allowed teleport to actually like be an option and like be a mix-up tool, and you can teleport in and get close slashes and stuff. That really just like completely blow open what the character is able to do. And when you combine it with some of the other strong changes like the increased stain proc and stuff like that, right? The increased frame data on that, it's just so good. To the point that like I look back at like release testament and I'm just like, how did anyone do anything on this character? I feel like this character had less than nothing available to them, and people were somehow doing some stuff. I mean, we thought that Testament was a mid-tier back then, right?
Right.
And I look back at it now and I'm just like, if you lost to this character, you might have some problems.
So I hear you're into this One Piece card game.
Yes, very much so.
Marlon, why haven't you been playing this card game? What's happening, man?
I didn't know
What?
that shit existed until now. When did this happen?
Yeah, so
Well-
when did this game come out?
One Piece card game's coming out for, I want to say like 2 years now. If Westfield's still in the chat, he knows when it actually started coming out. We just started getting into it earlier this year. It's a ton of fun. If you've ever played a Bandai Namco card game, there's a Dragon Ball card game. Yeah, like 2.5 years. Yeah, there's a Dragon Ball card game that has a lot of similar mechanics. It has a super fun kind of play style. It has colored leaders, so you can be playing a like blue deck or a green deck or a purple yellow deck, and they all kind of have their different identities. It has a kind of ramping mana system called Dawn.
What?
That you can you get two Dawn added to your field every turn, up to 10, and then you can, not only is that the mana essentially that you use to like play all of your cards, you can also take it and attach it to your characters to give them more power. And it also has a really interesting kind of life management system of, for the most part, your average leader is going to have 5 life, and they have a certain amount of power, and the power is kind of the threshold that your opponent has to use to hit you. But your life are 5 cards that you put out at the beginning of the game, and whenever you take a damage, that card comes into your hand. So it's a really fun like resource management thing of like, okay, I can take this, I can maybe spend some cards from my hand to not have to take this hit, or I can take the hit and essentially draw a card every time I take a hit. So it's kind of a lot of back and forth in that, and it's been a really fun. It's my first like in-person trading card game that I've ever played. I think it's safe to say I'm a bit obsessed. I've bought like 3 boxes already. It's relatively affordable, or so I'm told. I don't really have the like Magic the Gathering experience of, you know, like what building a competitive deck actually looks like, but you know, you can build your budget decks for like $50, and you know, your expensive decks are like $200 for the like crazy ones. But you also have like, they have starter decks that are literally like $13 at a card store, that aren't great, but are a really good way of like getting used to the game and getting introduced to all the mechanics and stuff.
You know what's crazy? Out of the explanation, you haven't said one One Piece character. That's what's wild.
Listen, I play an NL deck. All right, right now at least. The other character that I play is kind of a spoiler. It's all caught up to the anime, but not the manga. So I'm an anime only watcher, so there's no spoilers for me, thankfully. But there's a ton of characters. There's like 8 different Luffy decks. Rob Lucci is one of the biggest menaces in the meta right now.
That's insane. Like, I don't even understand Rob Lucci. Like, those 2 different characters, unless that's a combination of Rob and Lucci.
Or sorry, no, yeah, Rob Lucci, not Robin and Lucci. There is a Robin leader coming out in the next set that I'm actually planning on playing that I'm really excited about.
I'm gonna look into this. I might have an update for you.
Yeah, they got a good they got a really good online simulator as well. The trading card sim is just like super plug and play. You can build your deck for free. It's community driven. It's good stuff.
Westfield is saying he has a sick Yamato deck, and this game is really good from a competitive aspect too.
Mm-hmm.
And Marlon, I think this is your segment as well.
Pride. I'm glad we just got done talking about One Piece. Well, not done talking because we're about to talk about more about One Piece. I am an avid fan, blazer, what do you want to call it? I just love One Piece so much.
Yeah, yeah.
I just need to know, what do you think the One Piece is? Like, what in your honest heart of hearts? 'Cause I never asked a One Piece fan what they think the One Piece is. Because I can tell you what I think the One Piece is, but I want to hear you first.
I mean, listen, I'm out here with the crackpot theorists. I used to watch theory videos all the time, but I rewatched the series with my roommate Tibbers and have vowed off of like reading manga spoilers and stuff like that. I think that the One Piece is going to end up being some like timey-wimey thing where it's like they get to the island and it's just a bunch of statues of all the Straw Hats or something. That's our current like running theory, is that it's like somehow they like Luffy is actually literally Joy Boy and goes back in time and makes the One Piece and leaves it there for his future self and like all like that kind of thing. That's where my heart is right now.
You just gave me goosebumps. I never thought of that. I honestly thought the One Piece would be something similar where it's a time travel thing. I thought it was gonna be a time travel thing. I didn't think that maybe what Luffy could be just Joy Boy. I mean, that's kind of a spoiler by saying that, but hey, it is what it is. I think I spoiled One Piece a lot during my time talking about it on this podcast. So that's a dope ass theory. Yeah, I might do some deep rabbit hole.
The One Piece rabbit holes are some of the best. Oda is an amazing artist and storyteller, and I know that it's only up from here. This hiatus is already killing me. We're on a 6-month anime hiatus right now, and I'm dying.
The One Piece fan letter literally shows that he's greater than Shakespeare. But that's just
yeah. One Piece fan letter is peak.
all right. One more question. Let's go back to Denzel. If you could make, or if you could have a combination of devil powers, what would you choose?
If I could have a combination of devil fruit powers,
You only choose
would
two.
I choose?
You only choose two.
I can choose two. I mean, there is some really truly crazy stuff out there as far as devil fruit powers go. I think that my favorite devil fruit that's out there is I actually don't even know what it's called, but it's Marco the Phoenix's devil fruit. I love that character.
The most broken.
I love his devil fruit. It's so good. And it's not even just because it's broken. It's just so gorgeous. And like the cool aspects of like he's got these like fire powers, but he mostly just uses them to heal people. I think I'm a huge fan of that. If I were to pair a devil fruit with that, another devil fruit with that, it would be
You can mix it with some vanilla stuff. You be the god of Phoenix Thunder.
True. Yeah, listen, I don't want to make something that's like too crazy overpowered, all right? All right, here's my consolidation. If I get the Phoenix fruit, I'll take the chopping fruit that allows you to turn anything that you cut into food. You get those two mixed up and be the like ship's doctor / chef, and just put them on Sanji, and then I'm a happy can.
I thought you could do like the buggy and the beef. I'm like, all right, you just broke it times two. Just like, You can't be touched. You can't practically die. 'Cause I think Marco's his biggest gimmick is because he is the Phoenix. If he does die, he could probably.
Honestly, probably. Yeah. It's the Phoenix thing is really really cool, and I love the power system in One Piece is always so much fun, and like the way that the like legendary zones are like they're the fruits that will turn you into animals, also just like give you the powers of that like legendary animal. Like there's just a dude who turns into Buddha, and he's just presumably got all the powers of Buddha.
Yeah. Okay. One more. So
Yeah.
I recently just saw a TikTok, and it could be bullshit, but it kind of sparked my interest. It's like Dragon, the Dragon character, or
Yep.
Monkey
Yeah.
D. Dragon.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So they're saying that he might just have the Zoan dragon fruit, or the Zoan version of the dragon fruit, because you're caught up and you saw
Yeah.
Wano.
Yeah.
So I don't want to spoil too much, but the reason why Dragon could probably have the strongest fruit in the entire series is because he showed uh, power. Supposedly dragons in the east can control the entire weather, and there's like specific incidents where he actually changed like winds and high winds. He saved Luffy
Mhm.
one time way back in the early episode. Do you think he has like the mythical dragon fruit, like the actual mythical dragon?
I'll say that I do think so, and I think the reason why is that Oda doesn't ever do anything, or everything that Oda does is on purpose to some extent or the other. And the fact that the big dragon character that we've seen has a fish zone fruit instead of a dragon zone fruit has got to mean something, right?
That's true. Okay, I'll throw it back to Jimbo.
The arcs? Oh no.
Oh, we're about to make
Oh boy.
about to make some people.
Let me see if I can make this full screen for my stream. Let's see.
Can they all go in S?
What do you
They all go
mean
in
by
S.
that?
Real.
Bro,
So
was
this
doing
is
tricks on it. What the hell?
Hold on.
I said I'm the top leader. I'm not gonna run.
Top tier
No, I
glazer.
respect it. I respect it, man.
Looks so small.
Where? Oh my god. One
Okay.
Piece is so cute.
Listen, I think that if you ask me every single day of the month, I could probably have like a this is the greatest moment of One Piece for every single arc.
The problem is this is your list, Pariah, so I can't just say I think you're gonna pick a good list, but I just can't, So you think I believe.
All right, so we're gonna start with Al. Now, me and Envy have never watched One Piece, mind you, so this is gonna be
Okay.
mostly you and Marlon ringing it out here. But I'll place them there for you. So we're gonna start with Alabasta.
Alabasta. I think that Alabasta is really the first arc where we realize how big and bad the world is, and where the crew really is like being a crew. The whole crew isn't here yet, and it's still early on in like the adventure, but it's really the first like wall that the Straw Hats hit. Let's see, we're going ASSS. I'd put Alabasta in A. That's an easy A. It wasn't the craziest arc in the world. I do love Vivi. I will at some point in my life get the One Piece like X on the arm tattoo.
That's hard.
But I think that that can chill out in A.
Next, we have Drum Island.
I cried watching Drum Island the second time. The first time I watched Drum Island, I think I was like 10 years old. Oh man. Purely in interest of getting some variety in here, I'll put Drum Island in B tier. I think that like the early Chopper interactions were cute, but not like super crazy. I mean, Chopper himself, like the whole doctor thing and like the other theory stuff that kind of goes around this arc, I really enjoy. But yeah, I think B is fine with that.
And next we have Jaya.
Jaya. Is there also Skypea on here? Okay, yeah. So we're calling those two separate. Oh crap. Jaya is the introduction of the biggest villain in the show. Probably a couple of the coldest, most badass Luffy moments. Period. Him versus the Spring Boy, whose name that I can't remember, is just a him versus Bellamy is one of the coldest fights in the anime.
So it sounds like I need to watch the Jaya arc.
Yeah, just get to the Jaya arc.
Jaya's it's real good. Put Jaya in A, but put it above Alabasta.
Yeah. And next up, we got Long Ring, Long Land.
Long Ring, Long Land is a meme. It's insane to me that this wasn't a filler arc, but I respect it. It's one of those things that like it's canon for a reason. I trust Oda that there's a reason that the Davy Back fights exist. It's this like competition between two pirate crews where you can steal members of the other pirate crew. And the Foxy, the guy, has like it's basically just like Team Rocket comes and tries to like steal your crew. But they, instead of like fighting you in hand-to-hand combat, they throw like a school sports festival. And whoever does better at like the 1,000-yard dash gets to win a crew member. I don't want to disrespect it too much, but put Long Ring, Long Land in C. It's got its place, but you know.
So don't watch that arc, guys. We're skipping that arc.
No, don't skip it.
Water 7.
Water 7 is pretty good. Our boy Rob Lucci's in there. We got the we've got the Going Merry, Repair, Water 7. I think you put Water 7. Oh, it's got some of the better Sanji moments in there too. I think you put Water 7 in B tier. It's kind of, I think a lot of the like introducing a new crew member arcs are going to kind of be in B tier because so much of the arc is just trying to get that surface level understanding of the new crew member. And so that takes away from the potential of what that crew member could be doing or actually like involving in other stuff. And I think that like the next one, Inez Lobby, is the perfect example of that, where Inez Lobby is just Water 7 but on steroids, right? Inez Lobby is in S tier, easy.
First S tier. Also, is your favorite character Sanji?
Yeah, 100%. I love that boy.
Marlon, what did you say about? Because I think Kali picked that as his favorite character, and Marlon was like, out of all the characters he could have picked, you picked Sanji.
So my biggest gripe with Sanji is that there is literally an entire arc where he literally didn't do anything, and I still understand how people still like. I think his moral standings and everything like that is super valid. He doesn't hit women. He'll literally die before he hits a woman. But come on, dog. Like,
listen, I think that I'm a huge fan of Sanji. Sanji is one of my favorite characters in all of anime, like period. But
Yeah.
I will say that the stories that Sanji has gotten have just been so unfair to the character in my mind. I almost have this like I watched Sanji when I was a kid watching like Sunday morning cartoons, right? And watching the 4Kids dub of One Piece, and this like cool, suave, like ladies man who was a chef that would never let anyone go hungry. Early Sanji is just so peak, and then the like bit of him being like unable to interact with women like got way out of hand in the post time skip, and the character has just not really had a good chance to do anything since then, unfortunately. But like I get Sanji haters, I do, but he's my boy, and it's not that I'll defend him until I die, but I will put in a good case for him at the very least. I think he's a little underrated in the community, which is understandable. I mean, the dude has had some rough interactions. I mean, when your comeback from the time skip, right? The whole crew goes out for 3 years, and they all come back with their big power-ups, and your thing coming back from the time skip is that if you see a woman, you're gonna die of blood loss from your nose bleeding so bad, is just like, bro, come on.
Tiber says Pariahdox is a sucker for the hungry and starving skinny kids.
Very true. But yeah, Ines Lobby in S, it's the Robin arc, it's the Soga King shoot down that flag. It sucks that Usopp was hardly in this arc, but you know, it happens.
All right, so we have post Ines Lobby now.
What happened in post Ines Lobby? This is finding out that Dragon is Luffy's dad, and I don't know. But I feel like there's something that I'm missing in here. Put this in C with Long Ring. I don't. There's nothing about post Ines Lobby that stands out to me.
And now we have Thriller Bark.
Thriller Bark, I really, even though I love aesthetically Thriller Bark, I was not a big fan of this arc. It had some of the like, it had some really funny moments, I think, and showed a lot of like peak moments of the crew being goofy. A zombie coming up out of a grave and Luffy just pushing him back into the ground, and, like, and then 5 minutes later, Luffy just being like, "What's this old man doing here?" And everyone's like, "Dude, that's a zombie. What are you talking about?" It's got some really funny moments, but like Gecko Moria is kind of a whatever villain for me. Your character trait being laziness is like, all right, cool, man, I guess. And the like Luffy transformation that's in there is kind of whatever. I'd put this in, put Thriller Bark in like the top of C.
Now we have, what is that? Saboidi?
Sabaudi.
The Sabaudi Archipelago. Another arc that made me cry both times I watched it. This is a lot of world building. This is definitely a world building arc, but then it's the crew getting split up arc. The entrance to the time skip. Pretty good overall. I'm trying to think.
Don't forget Luffy punching certain ass on
Yeah,
the face.
true.
To get an impact frame on.
Yeah, the first impact frame of One Piece, Luffy punching the Celestial Dragon. Yeah, that's pretty good. Also, it is the introduction of the like supernovas, which are a bunch of really cool characters. I'll put this one at the bottom of A.
Wow. Westfield said it was a D tier arc.
D tier. Westfield has bad taste in anime.
I think you said.
I'm out to
No. I think that D was
For Thriller? It was for
Yeah,
Thriller Bark?
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, for Thriller? Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
D was for Thriller. D was for Thriller.
Yeah, because I remember seeing that. I actually thought they were making a face, and I was like, "Where's the eyes?" I didn't even clock that
I
it
mean,
was the tier list D.
Thriller Bark has probably the best Usopp fight in the series, and it has Perona in it, which like I cannot do my queen that way. You know what I mean? Like,
Now, Romance Dawn.
Romance Dawn is just the very, very first arc. It's the little intro. I mean, Romance Dawn. There's a reason that I think that One Piece is good from the start, right? But I do see that there is a reason that people are like, you just got to give it like 50 episodes before it gets good, right? Romance Dawn is solid. Wait, I'm not getting this mixed up with the flashback, am I?
I don't think.
I think that Romance Dawn is just the very start. I mean, it's solid. I'd put it in like B tier. It's in that exact same boat of like, oh, this is just my character introduction, and so it's just a bunch of like surface level information about Luffy, right?
Yeah, I think he gets Zoro.
Yeah. Some of the Zoro introduction stuff is pretty cool, but I think Zoro had better moments in those early days as well.
And now we have Amazon Lily.
Amazon Lily, I don't necessarily care for. It had some good character building. The Amazonians are cool. I'm not a big like Boa Hancock lover. And some of the like Luffy being like, if you are looking for asexual representation, the Amazon Lily arc is probably SS tier. Not really something that I was looking for from this arc personally. Does Amazon Lily go? Is Amazon Lily a D tier? I think we can put Amazon Lily in D tier. There's nothing really turning my heart about it.
Impel Down.
Impel Down has Buggy the Clown in a ponytail, and that's really cool. It also has the homophobic security guard that gets turned into a woman and fixes all of his problems. That's also pretty cool. And Impel Down's a good arc and has a lot of world building. I think that Impel Down can go in A.
A tier. Marineford.
Oh, Marineford's so good. Marineford has got to be S tier. Like, it has Luffy showing down with the big players, realizing like this is right after you realize that you're just a small fish in a big pond, and that like you've been playing pirate this whole time, but you're really just like chump change compared to some of these people, and then you have to go and fight these people directly. The crew isn't there, which is the only downside for Marineford, but that arc, it's a 10 out of 10.
And now we have Post-War.
Post-War is basically just all of the flashbacks. I thought there was a lot of good attention to detail in the flashbacks. The fact that they had Usopp get really fat before he got jacked is pretty good. And there's a lot of like fun little details in the flashbacks, but I think that this goes in B tier with all the other. All we're seeing is just like little snippets of like characters being cute, you know.
Return to Sal. Yep.
The Return to Sabaody is currently being reanimated. By the way, if you want to watch One Piece, we're on a 6-month anime hiatus. You got time to catch up. If you watch like 4 episodes a day, you can make
You hear
it.
that, Envy?
Facts.
I'm sorry, I gotta catch up on Bleach.
Okay.
Return to Sabaody is pretty good. It's seeing all of the One Piece, the Straw Hat Pirates kind of coming back and being in their new like buffed up forms, but it is kind of a nothing burger. I think that's Return to Sabaody probably goes into C for me. even though it's like a reuniting of friends and stuff, it's really just like nothing really happens. And also like the coolest thing is that the character that one shot all of the Straw Hat crew in Saboti Archipelago gets one shot by Luffy, and it's just like, all right, cool, anime time skip.
We have Fishman Island next.
Fishman Island. I have actually like recently come around to kind of being a Fishman Island hater. I think that like the parallels with the Arlong Park arc are really, really cool. The world building of like the fishmen and the poneglyphs and Joy Boy, all good stuff. But the actual like struggle of Fishman Island wasn't really that deep, and like it had a lot of potential to be really deep. Of like it's setting up this whole like the fishmen are persecuted and they used to be slaves and had all this stuff going around, and then your big bad guy is just a like coked out shark. Like you're literally just doing cocaine shark when you have all of this depth to work with. I'll put Fishman Island in D tier with Amazon Lily.
Another D.
And let's not forget that his favorite character literally doesn't do anything.
Yeah, and this is also the arc that Sanji just like he sees the mermaid princess and literally almost dies from blood loss because he gets a bloody nose so bad, and that's the only thing he fucking does.
A bloody nose. His voice actor, all his voice actors got paid vacation.
Fishman was a cool setting with really important world building. The villain was boring as fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
And now we have Punk Hazard.
Punk Hazard has a half of a samurai speaking English out of his butt with farts. Whether that puts it in D tier or SS tier for you is a personal decision. I think the Punk Hazard had a lot of cool stuff. Had the body swap scenes, which were a lot of fun. It had some like weirdly hyped bad guys that like ended up being kind of nothing burgers. There were these like two big silhouetted giant guys who were like world government assassins who have never failed to kill their mark, and they just get like off-screened or something. And the bad guy is like a scientist who's experimenting on kids, and he has the gas fruit, which is pretty cool. And the setting was cool, and there was a dragon, but I think that Punk Hazard's probably a C tier for me. It's a setup arc, right? It's essentially just a little bit worse than Straw Hat crew member introduction arc, because it's the introduction arc for the samurai who aren't actually Straw Hat crew members.
So
C tier, I'll say for that
C
one.
tier. Dress Rosa.
Dressrosa is where I stopped watching One Piece. There was a time where I didn't watch One Piece, and I stopped watching literally in the middle of the Luffy versus Doflamingo fight because it was taking so long. But this arc is really, really good. It's got some world building. It's got like political tension. It's got people with fucked up, broken, evil devil fruits. It's got this girl who like she touches you and you turn into a doll, and everyone who ever has known you forgets who you were, and there's no counter to it. And she was on the bad guys team, and it was just like crazy that they managed to pull out of it. It's got Fujitora, which is the new Navy admiral, who's super cool. I'd put Dressrosa in A tier. It's an easy A.
Some of the best quotes from One Piece come from that arc.
True. There's a fight where the giant cyborg robot man fights with a dude who's wearing a diaper and a binky who can swim through solid material, and they just sit there and punch each other while crying and having flashbacks for like 5 episodes straight. And it's actually one of the best fights in One Piece.
Westfield says Punk Hazard was tough for me to get through.
Yeah, I feel that.
Next up we have Zoe
arc is the samurais and the minks. Huge arc for furries.
Yeah.
Really... it has the gas attack and the scene where they protected the samurai. That shit got me. That was a really banger scene. Especially rewatching it, knowing what was about to happen. I don't think that Zoe goes in S though. I'll put Zoe in A. Zoe's a really good arc. It is a little bit of a setup arc. Kind of similar to some of the other ones. Like, it's basically just prepping you for Wano. But it's pretty 10 out of 10.
Tibbers is saying, I have never heard Pariah sound like such a One Piece hater before.
Listen, there's every single moment of every single episode I am deeply in love with, but when I gotta make tough choices, I gotta make tough choices.
Whole Cake Island is next.
Whole Cake Island is my boy's arc. It's Sanji's arc. We meet the Power Rangers of One Piece, the evil Power Rangers of One Piece. Sanji doesn't have a big cool fight in this arc, which disappoints a lot of people, but Sanji gets to do his thing of like he gets to his end goal with cooking and compassion and intelligence rather than just like fighting. Also has a scene where 100 Monkey D. Luffys who are literally making monkey noises burst out of a giant wedding cake. Pretty good for the slapstick fans out there. Also has Brook is my other favorite Straw Hat character who doesn't get enough screen time, and his coolest moment in the series, hands down, is in Whole Cake Island. I think I put Whole Cake Island in S tier. I think that this arc is really good. It has some pacing issues for sure. But I think that it's one of those situations where the pacing issues are really interesting because Luffy doesn't fight the Big Mom, like the big bad character. He instead fights her first man, Katakuri. And in that fight, there's this like evolution of Luffy's powers, but also it's this kind of like almost meta thing going on where it's like the anime loop is you send your main character in, he gets his ass kicked by the big bad guy, he leaves and he comes back stronger, right? But the way that Oda set up this whole arc was that Luffy couldn't leave. So he couldn't actually do that loop that he's so used to doing in every single arc. And the bad guy had his exact powers, but better in every way. And just completely styled on him for like 30 episodes. And then Luffy like finally grits his teeth and like makes it happen and makes the breakthrough. And it's super, super satisfying when it happens.
Tibbers is saying holy hot sakes and gives this man a mic, and now he Babe Ruth. And what's the says, I love Katakuri.
Do love Katakuri.
Next up we have Orange Town.
I'm a decent fan of Orange Town. The dog protecting the shop is a scene that stands out to me. Orange Town's kind of weird because it's kind of in that spot where it's like the entire time that the Straw Hat crew is in the East Blue, they're so insanely overpowered. They the Straw Hat crew don't actually like essentially power up in between the first episode and almost debatably the time skip, or I guess Inez Lobby is really when the first like power ups start coming through. And because of that, they're like, they're level 100 characters walking around the starter zone, and there's a funny clown man making blustering noises the whole time. I think this one's probably a C for me. I think there might be something that I'm forgetting about Orange Town that made it really, really good. The fact that it was so good in the live action. So it's worth it.
Next up, you have Reverie.
Reverie is huge for conspiracy theorist nerds. There's just so much little details that they gave us. But it is just an information arc. I'd put Reverie at like the top of B. It's really good and has a lot of really cool stuff, and getting to see, I think one of the coolest things of this arc is getting to see all of the princesses that the Straw Hats had been saving just by like happenstance all go to this big official like political meeting, and they're just like, hey, you love Luffy too? That's crazy. We all love Luffy here. He saved our country. He saved your country? That's crazy. And that was really, really cute to see them like actually interacting.
Just blazing. I'd be there too.
Scotty coming in with One Piece is gross. All right, Scotty, your interview is canceled. But it's actually not canceled.
You don't even.
Interview is just a One Piece panel.
Next up, we have Syrup Village.
I love Syrup Village. The bad guy, Captain Kuro, one of my favorite childhood villains. I would be lying if I said that I didn't have a phase of pushing up my glasses with my palm like he does. It's so good, and he's got like, it's got that like One Piece goofiness, but then also has some like really, really cool badass moments. One of Zoro's big moments, like big character development moments, was in this. I think it was, if I remember correctly, Usopp tried to like get a cheap attack. Zoro's like 2v1ing these cat guys, and Usopp tries to like shoot something at them and try to like get a sneak attack on them essentially. And Zoro, while 2v1ing these guys, moves his body and tanks the hit from Usopp and like severely injures himself so that he isn't interfering in his fight. And it was just like a super cool honor moment for Zoro. It's got Luffy throwing a ship at a dude, and a little bit of the like the Usopp sections of it are a little bit kind of whatever. I think that this probably goes in B because it's a character intro, but towards the top of B, like right after Reverie.
And now we have, also, I'm pretty sure Scotty likes anime. He's just being a hater, but it's all right. We appreciate you.
Nah, he a real one, bro. Let him cook.
All right, I hear you, Envy. Wano Country is next.
Wano is SS. It's the evolution that they made in the animation style. It's got some pacing issues, but who doesn't, right? But this arc, some of the stuff that got introduced in this arc that is spoilery is just like peak cinema. The arc is crazy long, but every single bit of it is rewarding. The art style is beautiful. The impact frames later on, and One Piece is really kind of like, this is the arc where One Piece refound its animation style, in that like the early stuff up until, don't quote me on this, but up until like maybe Inez Lobby, One Piece had a pretty good like older animation style, and then there's this huge chunk in the middle that they're currently reanimating that just had like this felt really low budget animation style that like wasn't very expressive. even the big moments, going back and watching them sometimes feel really flat just because of how flat the animation style was. But in Wano, they up the ante, and then halfway through Wano, they up the ante again, and then at the end of the Wano arc, they up the ante a third time, to the point where I think that One Piece right now is one of the best animated, like best animation styles in anime, period. Most recent episode of Don to Don, also pretty good, but One Piece has been so consistent and so on top of it.
Good thing you mentioned that. We gotta watch that. We gotta catch up, Envy. I don't think we've watched it in like
Yeah.
3-4
I think
weeks.
I'm
I
on
think.
episode 3 or 4 or something.
Yeah, we'll catch up, Envy. Baraty's next.
The Baratier is Sanji's introduction.
My
arc,
bad.
so
I pronounced it completely wrong.
Yeah, excuse
Yeah,
me.
you're like Barate, first of all.
This is my comfort character. All right. Oh man. I think I have to just like let my bias rock and put Baratier. The question is, how hard do I let my bias rock? I was gonna be like, I'm gonna let my bias rock and put Baratier in S or in A, but I think that Baratier might be an S arc for me. Yeah, I think you put it in S. It's got the introduction of Sanji, one of the coolest like capoeira fighting style character, and like the whole like chefs don't use their hands to fight. And in the same arc, you have the introduction of Mihawk and Zoro's fight with Mihawk, which is just a 10 out of 10 banger. Fucking sword scars on the back are a swordsman's shame. And in the same arc, you have Luffy fighting a dude who his like secret move is that like Luffy's fought up to this point. Luffy has fought a bunch of people who are just complete pushovers, right? And half of them can't even hurt Luffy because he is made of rubber. And then this dude comes in, he's got guns for one, and hell of a lot of guns and like rocket launchers and stuff. But then in the peak of their fight, he pulls out this full body like spiked cloak, and Luffy's just like, all right, bet, and just punches through the spikes and knocks this guy out through his like iron spiked cloak. It's 10 out of 10. I'm talking myself into putting this in SS tier, so let's move on before I do.
Arlong Park is next.
Arlong Park is really good too. It's got the biggest Nami arc, I think, kind of undisputedly. The scene where Nami is crying and stabbing her tattoo and the boys are all around and Luffy promises to beat Arlong. Like, I'm literally thinking about and describing it and it's making me tear up. I think that Arlong Park's got to be an S tier.
To show you.
The only drawback of Arlong Park is also just a cool thing of like looking back at it and thinking about how easy it was. And like, if the Straw Hats were at full power and like came in with a purpose, they would have just no-diffed the Arlong pirates and then moved on their way and it wouldn't have been an arc at all. But like Zoro had his entire chest carved open during this arc and still fights the like strongest pirate of the Arlong pirates and nearly beats Arlong himself. Luffy just like dicks around in their fight and like goofs off the entire time. At some point puts shark teeth in his own mouth and tries to bite the shark guy. It's a lot of fun and goofiness, and then when it gets serious, it really hits home.
Here you have it. Watch Arlong Park, everybody. Logtown.
Logtown does have some cool stuff. It's got Dragon in there. It's got the lightning saving Luffy. It's got Luffy in the gallows being like, "Oh, sorry guys, I'm gonna die," with a big smile on his face. I don't think that it's a crazy arc for me though. I'd probably put Logtown in like C. I feel like I'm a Buggy hater. I really do like Buggy, but I don't mean to be putting all of his arcs low.
Reverse Mountain.
What happens in Reverse Mountain that's not filler? It's the arc where Nami murders a guy, but that's filler.
A filler arc.
Isn't it with the whale? The whale.
Oh
Brooks?
yeah. So they go up Reverse Mountain and they see the whale on the other side. You know what? I got an easy rule. It's a character introduction arc. It goes in B tier.
B tier it is. Next up we have Whiskey Peak.
Whiskey Peak is introduction to the Grand Line. It's where a lot of the Zoro being racist allegations come from. It's got some cool fights, but it is kind of a prep arc / introduction arc. I think Whiskey Peak. Let me think. It does have the Baroque works. It's got Luffy and Zoro fighting seriously for a brief time, which is really, really cool to see. And especially when you like are looking back at it and thinking about how like, you know, these people, they made it to the Grand Line, but they've really only known each other for like 2 months or even like a month at this point. And so Luffy wakes up and finds out that Zoro basically just like murdered an island full of people and immediately is like, all right, we're fighting to the death now. I think that's pretty cool. But I think that probably a C tier.
In Little Garden.
Little Garden's pretty good. It's got a lot of fun parallels from like Zoro and Sanji to the Giants. Introduces the Giants. Kind of introduces Usopp's secret superpower that everything he lies about comes true. Let's see. It's a really good like jaunt. I think that Little Garden probably goes in B tier. There's nothing like too crazy that happens in the arc, but it is solid. And as you kind of like come back and revisit Giant stuff, it gets even better and better.
Now we have Skypiea.
Skypiea is one of the most hated on arcs and needs to be one of the most beloved arcs. As a like One Piece theorist, this arc is absolutely just pure peak. It has a little bit of drawback of having existed before the hockey power system was actually a thing. And so there were just kind of these people with superpowers that you don't understand that later then like the system gets fleshed out. It's the only bad guy that Luffy doesn't actually like stop, even though he beats. The bad guy's goal was to be a god and move and fly to the moon, and at the end of the arc, he is a god and he flies to the moon. Has some of the most iconic reaction image of NL realizing that he is a lightning Logia fruit, which is basically just like unbeatable, but then realizes that the guy that he's fighting is made out of rubber, and has one of the best reaction images of all time. I think that Skypiea has got to go in SS tier. I'm trying to talk myself out of it, but it's just Skypiea is a mini version of what the entire One Piece story is, and is the groundwork for everything that happens past that.
And there's a list.
Bad with that one.
What do you think, Marlon?
I would put all these in S tier and just work my way down to like S plus, S plus plus, or S -1, S -2,
Yeah,
etc.
exactly.
But this is actually a good list. I really like that. It's weird.
Oh,
Not Wano. Egghead is not on here.
Yeah, Egghead isn't on here. I mean, listen, I play Vegapunk in the One Piece card game. Where would I put Egghead, though? Well, Egghead's not done yet, so I can't fully put Egghead anywhere yet, but it would probably just be in S tier, honestly. I can't imagine anything not being S tier for the rest of One Piece. The animation style is just too good.
The Rob, Lucci, and Luffy round 2, that shit can't go a lot lower than
Yeah,
this.
it's so good.
But it's
Perfect.
a great list. I like this list.
And you got the Marlin seal of approval. You're the second person. I'm proud of you.
I'm gonna have to go get a tongue lashing from Tibbers though. I think after this, you can call me a hater in the chat. I understand.
So we're gonna go to the final question. Tibbers says, "Bro, wild." A final question for you, Pariahdox. Is there a message you'd like to leave with our listeners here, especially those who support OEG, or maybe they're part of the gaming community, the FGC?
Oh man. As far as people in the FGC, people playing games in general, I say something at the end of all of my Fight Sticks and Flash Kicks broadcasts, and that is to keep the community in the fighting game community. The people who are out here making content like this, who are supporting the community in whatever ways they are, whether it's participating in tournaments, hosting tournaments, doing commentary, posting on Twitter for better or worse, everyone in the fighting game community, none of this would be what it is without the people who are here, who are so passionate about these games and supporting them. And I think that that's super cool. It's a thing that I think that everyone in the fighting game community loves the most about it. And just remember that, we're all in this kind of together and supporting our hobbies, and a game isn't a dead game until you stop playing it. To kind of pull some One Piece inspiration out there, right? There are people out there who are rocking it out on DNF Duel, playing it in their Discords and hosting tournaments and doing whatever. And it's a beautiful community that we have, and keeping it and kind of protecting it is super important, and something that we all need to just be the best versions of ourselves and bring that to the community. And to throw out OEG's own tagline, game with purpose, is we're here doing our hobbies, but elevating your hobby into being something a little bit more meaningful that might make a change in someone else's life is really the best thing that you can possibly do with your time and with your hobby.
You heard it here first. Also, they want you to put something in F tier, Pariah. I'm not sure if you're reading that. You have to.
I can't. Okay, hold on. I'll defend myself from both Tibbers and Logic at the same time. This is all S tier. Let me be completely clear with you. This is all shades of S tier. All right. Just because they're ordered within the S tier doesn't mean that they're bad. I don't think I can. I don't think there's anything that can possibly, like I said, every single arc you could go through and be like, this is one of the best moments in One Piece.
This is actually
So this, just to clarify for me, none of these arcs are filler arcs, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So One Piece, historically, One Piece doesn't actually do filler. They did a filler arc in the East Blue that had to do with some dragons and stuff. And then there are occasionally small filler moments within episodes. One Piece, one of the biggest criticisms of One Piece is that they extend their episodes rather than doing filler arcs. Which, take it or leave it, there are some memes of cutting back and forth between three people reacting over and over again, right? Or the new animation stuff of the return to Sabaody and the Fishman Island arc that's getting reanimated is also getting recut. And there's also tools out there like One Pace, which is a complete re-edit of repacing all of the One Piece scenes, which is really, really good. But all One Piece is good One Piece, and there is actually just, I think there's a filler arc, and then whenever there's a movie, there's 3 episodes of filler that it's a movie tie-in that comes out.
Okay.
Yep. Well, now it's time to get to the shout outs. So, of course, we're going to shout out our guests here, Pariahdox. You're probably already All right, Justin, keep it down. Pariahdox, go follow Pariahdox on Twitter. His Twitter is at Pariahdox TV. We have Envy as well at Suppressed Envy. And we have Marlon, who showed up at Big Hatch 01. Any fine?
And
Oh,
we have Death Grips, FGC, if I'm not mistaken. He used to shout himself out.
oh yeah. Thanks for the shout out. I always forget that. My bad.
Yeah, shout out
Yeah,
to
for sure.
Yeah, shout out to Death Grips FGC. Go ahead and follow that guy as well. He's pretty cool. Any final words from you, Marlon or Envy?
One Peak. We need to stop calling One Piece. We should start calling One Peak. All favorite eye.
Nobody said I, bro. Nobody said
So I guess to combat that, I will be the bad guy here. Say mid piece, not one peak. Get that shit out of here. It's
My
mid
heart.
peak.
I can't be on
Never
the
meet
channel
your
anymore,
heroes,
so
cat
I'm
room.
never meet your
But-
heroes.
But with that out the way, I had to do it. I'm sorry. Man, Pariah, you guys be doing some great work over there at OEG with all the charity stuff and hosting events, and I'm sure the community appreciates it. I know I do. Keep doing what you guys are doing. Hell yeah.
Amen to that. I agree with that. Thank you, Pariah. Alrighty, and that is the episode. Thank you all for joining it. Episode will be posted on YouTube probably Saturday night as usual, but thank you all for joining.